Okay, we're going to start in the bottom of Zion Amad Bet. We're continuing with the statements of Gidel Amarav. So the Gemara says the last line, 4 words from the end of the line. Amarav Gidel Amarav. Gidel Amarav said the following: Minayin shenishba'in lekayem et mitzvah. How do we know that a person can swear to fulfill a mitzvah, a commandment? How do we know that it works, that it does anything? If a person swears to be mekayim a mitzvah, that it has an effect. Shenemar, as it says in a pasuk, nishpati. This is from David Elmaleh. Nishpati, I've sworn v'kaimena v'kaima, and I will fulfill it. Lishmar mishpatei tzidkecha, to guard the laws of your righteousness. So we see that David Elmaleh was able to go ahead and to make a shvuah, to go ahead and to swear to keep the mitzvot. The Gemara is going to explain in a moment what exactly is the point of it, but we see that it works, that it's viable. So the Gemara says, the Gemara asks on the third line, "V'halo mushba v'omed mehar Sinaihu." Isn't he already sworn from the times of Har Sinai? We know by Har Sinai we accepted upon ourselves to accept the Torah, so we already made a shvuah. So there's a concept of ein shvuah chalal shvuah, that a person, once you already have a swear, you already swore, so you kind of a shvuah that's already that it could be binding on an already existing shvuah. So Ella, so Gemara answers, Hakamash Malan, it's coming to teach you to shali lei leinish lizruze nafshe, that a person's allowed to go ahead and to encourage himself to fulfill a mitzvah. And you're right, he is already sworn, but a person could go ahead and take another shvuah in order to go ahead and to force himself to encourage himself to confirm ziruz, right? Ziruz is more like right, that's true. But it comes from like zrizut. The person wants to be inspired to accomplish something, so he takes a shvuah to do it. Okay, so the Gemara is going to elaborate more on this on the next few lines. So let's see. The Gemara says, the 5th line down, the Amar of Gidel Marav, and Gidel Marav says, Ha'omer ashkim ve'eshne perek zeh. I will get up and I will learn this chapter, or eshne Masechta zu. I'll learn this Masechta. Okay, he's like, that's it. I fell off the daf and now I'm coming back on. I'm going to learn this Masechta. So what does it say? The Gemara says, Zu neder gadol, neder l'elokei Yisrael. It's a big neder, and it's a neder. It's a promise to Hashem. So it's binding. So again, the Gemara asks, V'halo mushpa ve'omedu ve'ein shvuah chala al shvuah. Right? You already are sworn. So how can it go ahead and have an effect? So the Gemara says, that you can to encourage yourself. That's the reason why a person is going ahead and making the shvuah. Even though there already is the shvuah, he's doing it again to encourage himself. So everyone's bothered by this question. What do you mean? We just taught that. It's two similar statements saying the same concept, the same halacha. So the Gemara says, Hainu de Rav Gidel kamaita. That's the first opinion of Rav Gidel. So my answer is no. Hakamash malan keva di'i ba'i pater nafshei b'kirat shema shachrit ve'arvit. That since technically, if a person wants to read the Shema in the morning and in the evening, he will accomplish his requirement of to ve'agita bo yom v'layla, to go ahead and to learn the Torah day and night by just saying Shema. He fulfills that requirement. So you would think mishum hachi chayil shvuah alei. So because of this, the shvuah actually is binding upon the person. So meaning what? The Gemara is saying that there is a difference between a mitzvah and, let's say, and learning Torah. Learning Torah, you person would think that the person can accomplish it by just in the morning and in the evening. He could just say the Shema. So Rav Gidel Marav comes along and tells us that a person goes ahead and makes a shvuah to learn a Masechta, and that would be chal upon him, because it's expanding the requirements of his of the mitzvah of learning Torah. Okay. Now, it's important Ron, if it probably important to see. It's about 5 lines down, and he says like this: he can exempt himself in the midst of Torah by reading Shema in the morning and the evening. So he says, "Mistabeli delav dafka." No, it does. It's not literal. The bahaki pater that you could just fulfill your dues for that. Person has to utilize all his energy day and night to learn Torah. That if a person would ask you something, right? A person asks you something in Torah, a person would be able to respond. So if a person is just going to say Shema in the morning and the evening, he's not going to be, versed in Torah, in everything. So the Ran is saying that a person obviously has a greater requirement of Torah, but a person still has an ability to go ahead and he could fulfill like the from the Torah. He's able to, it's not explicit in the Torah, and therefore he could go ahead and have this requirement of learning Torah, which is chal, the shvuah could be chal on something, could take effect, because it's not beferish in the Torah how much Torah you have to learn, and therefore a person could actually bind himself by saying, okay, I want to learn this Masechet Nedarim, let's say, and therefore that would be binding upon a person. Okay, so far good? Okay, so now we are on another statement. So we are about halfway down. The first word on the line is Chayil. A few words into the line. It says, Amar Rav Gida Amar Rav. Rav Gida said to Rav. Someone says to his friend, Nashkim v'nishne perek zeh. So he says, let's get up. We'll get up early and we'll learn this chapter. So the Gemara says, Alav lahashkim. It's upon him to get up. And the Mefarshim explain, it's upon him to get up first. He's the one that initiated. Okay, let's get up. Let's do this project. So he's gotta be there first.
You need to be there first. Not just to suggest.
Yeah. Shenemar. How do we know this? Where's the pasuk for the proof of this? So he says like this: Vayomer Eli, and he said to me, who was talking over here? Yecheskel. This is brought down in Yecheskel. So I presume it's Yecheskel that's talking. So he says, Vayomer Eli, and he said to me, Hashem said to me, right? Hashem appeared. Very good, thank you. Hashem appeared to him and said, Kum tzei al bika, go out to the valley, v'sham, and there adaber itcha, otach. I will go ahead and I'll speak with you. Okay, so Hashem says, go into the valley, I'll speak with you. So what happens? He goes out to the valley. Hashem is already there. Good. He's waiting for him. Right? So what do you see? Anytime you have a conversation with Hashem, it's not about the sports. It's about it's Torah related. So you see, when you go ahead and you use Hashem is the one that was suggesting, okay, let's have this Torah discussion, and boom, Hashem is there. He's the one that's waiting for Hashem. Even though it's interesting because normally it's more of kavod, when the
tracking after.
Right, when the rabbi comes later, everyone's all set up, and then the rabbi comes.
Hashem doesn't never face kavod. He always either first or there.
Wow.
He's coming and saying, "Where are you guys?"
Very good.
Right. Moshe Rabbeinu, he's always there before him.
Right.
Moshe Rabbeinu need to be ready for him because he's always there.
Very good.
I can give you many examples of like that. Hashem always figure of speech. He raises his name for us. Always.
Right. Very good. Tov. Okay, I love it. Okay, so that's what we see when a person makes a suggestion of let's go ahead and let's do a Torah project, that he's got to be the one that shows up. He's the one there. Okay, Amar Rav Yosef. Again, we're about 5 narrow lines up. First word on line is Vihine. So Amar Rav Yosef says, Niduhu b'chalom. If they went ahead and they put him in a cherem, in a dream, the person had a dream, and they put him in the cherem, they put him in excommunication, nidui. So what happens? Sarich yud b'nei adam lahatir lo. He needs 10 people to undo it. 10 people to undo it. Why? Why would you need 10 people to undo it? So the Mefarshim say when a person gets a dream, who's really sending the message? Hashem. When does Hashem show up in this world? A minyan. So when you have a minyan, then you have the Shechina Hashem, you have the presence of Hashem there.
But Atarat Chalom, no? Yeah, But we did for someone, but I think we was 3 people.
No, it's different.
Interesting.
זה לא זה. כי פה אומר לך שהוא צריך להיות בחרם. פה,
Okay, yeah. So if in the dream they went and they put the person in Chayram, so he has to wait for Hashem to be there, which is in the minyan, and therefore then he could be undone. Okay. V'hu, the Gemara qualifies what type of 10 people is it? V'hu the Tanu Hilchita. It's people that who study the Tanu that they study. I thought I meant Taf for a second. They study Hilchita, the law. Aval matznu velo Tanu. But if they're just learning, not just, but if they're learning Mishnayot, velo Tanu, but they didn't actually go through like the Gemara, and learn in depth, so then lo. Then it wouldn't qualify. It has to be, like a chashuva 10 people that are involved in Talmidei Chachamim that are learning Torah. Good. V'i leka itanu hilchata, and if there are not, that they learned the hilchata, afilu matanu v'lo. So then, even if you don't have, meaning that's where the chachila you should go and get. But if you can't find, you don't have 10 in the city, let's say, that are learning Gemara, so then okay, even that are learning Mishnayot would suffice, would be okay. V'ilaka, and if even that you don't have, what do you do? Leizel v'leite aparshat derachim. He goes to where the cross streets, goes down to the city streets. V'yav shlama lebei yod. And he gives peace. He says, Shalom Alechem to 10 people. Ad demikli le asara, until he gets 10 the gamri hilchata that are actually learned in Torah law. Okay, so what does he do? He still requires 10, but the Gemara adds in an interesting side point. What does he do? He says Shalom Alechem, right? It's not just he's gathering 10 people, but he actually initiates the shalom to them. And the Mefarshim explain, because when a person says Shalom Alechem, so then what? They're going to respond, the people are going to respond back to them Alechem HaShalom, which is going to be a blessing, which would save him from his suffering, from his pain in the nidui. Okay, so he goes to the crossroads, he gets 10 people, 10 Talmidei Chachamim, and they could annul his excommunication that was given to him in the dream. That was given to him in the dream. Okay, so the Gemara says like this, 4 lines from the bottom. Yeah. Elmaleh Ravina Ravashi. Ravina said to Ravashi, Yada man shamte mahu didlishrele. Let's say a person shows up in a dream. Okay, he knows who it is. His neighbor shows up in his dream and puts him into chayram. So what would be for that person to undo the chayram? Meaning, when a person gives a chayram onto you, puts you in excommunication, so then he's the one that could undoes it for you. So let's say he, some great rabbi, appeared to you in a dream, put you in chayram. So can you go, Kavod Rav? You came to me last night. Can you undo it for me? So, Elmaleh, lishemute shave shliach. So he says that no, maybe that rabbi was just a messenger from Hashem. So it was a messenger to go ahead to put him into chayram. But the Mishralei lo shave shliach. But the Hashem never appointed him as a messenger to undo the chayram. So therefore, you still require 10. You still need to go to 10. So again, the question was if a rabbi showed up to you in a dream and put a person in chayram, can he go to that rabbi to undo it? And the answer was that no, because maybe that rabbi was just a shliach, just a messenger, but really is coming from Hashem, and therefore, how do you undo it? If Hashem is the one that put you into chayram, you still need the 10, the minyan, in order for Hashem's presence to be there to undo the chayram. Tov, good, yeah. Right there, 2 lines from the bottom. Elmaleh Rav Ashi. Shamte v'shagru le b'chalmei. What if they put the person in chayram in his dream, and they also took him out of the cherem in the dream. They undid it. So they did both. They put him into the cherem, and they also undid it in the actual dream itself. So what would be the halacha? Meaning, would we say, okay, even if it's all a shliach Hashem, but the shliach in the dream itself, I was taken out. So Elmaleh, he said back to him, Rashi said back, no. Kishem she'i efshar lebar below teven. The same way it's impossible to have the grain without the shaft. With the wheat, always has like the surrounding residue around it, which is going to be tossed. But in order to have the good, you also have to have the bad with it. It's also impossible to have a dream without things which are null and void, which are not important. So we're saying that perhaps the what was important in the dream was that the fact that they put the person in the cherem, but the fact that they also took him out of the cherem, that was just the shaft. That was just the unimportant things. That was not the real what actually happened, actually occurred. It's not that in Shemaim they also took him out of the cherem. So the same way a person can have a dream, even when a person has a dream, there could be some good things in it, but there are always going to be things which are unimportant. We know that, I think, in the parsha we're going to see by the dreams of Yosef. Yaakov is going to say that it's impossible to have a dream without any Dvarim B'Telem. But so to here, when a person had a dream and they put him into cherem, and even though they also took him out of a cherem in the dream, we say that was Dvarim B'Telem. That's the extra stuff, and therefore you still need to go in front of 10 people in order to have it undone. So, good?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah? Okay, Ravina. So second line, Cheta Mebet. Ravina Havelea Nidra Besu. His wife had a neder on herself. So Asala Kameda Ravashi. So he came in front of Ravashi. So Elmaleh, Baal, a husband, Mahu Sheyase Shliach Charatat Ishto. Can he be a messenger for the regret of his wife? We know that there's two ways to undo or to get rid of a neder. There's one way that a husband or a father of a young daughter is able to be mefer, annul the vow. He hears about a vow and he just blows it up. He just says sorry. Okay. But here, we're not talking about that. Presumably, we're not referring to that because, let's say, after 24 hours, or actually nightfall. Actually, right, Bobayom. Even after the day, sunset. After the day the husband didn't do it, then it's already binding. But there's another way that a person is able to get rid of a vow, and that's through charata. The person regrets making the vow, they could undo it. Normally, the person who made the vow is the one that has to come to the Bet Din or to the Talmid Chacham and express his charata. He has to express his regret. I didn't realize, I didn't know how difficult it would be, I didn't know this was going to happen, right? And then the rabbi or the Bet Din can undo, the vow. So what's the question over here? If he wants to know, I'm not coming from a husband's perspective of being mayfair, but I want to know, can I express for my wife the charata? Can I be the one to show the Bet Din, to show the Torah scholar that that my wife is mitcharet or mitcharetat, that she's regrets the vow that was made, and therefore it could be annulled, undone. So Elmaleh, so Ravashi said to him 4 lines down, if the 3 that you're coming to, if the Bet Din that you're coming to do Hatar Nedarim are already gathered, they're already there, then yes. But if they're not low, you cannot. So he says it depends. Ravashi says it depends. Meaning, even though Ravashi himself is a Talmid Chacham, and one person, he could do it, but he's just answering what Ravina is asking him. Ravina wants to know what can I express the charata for my wife in front of a Bet Din? So he says, okay, it depends on what the Bet Din was. If they were already gathered, then yes. If no, then you can't. What would be the reason and what would be the explanation for that? Why would it depend if the Bet Din was already gathered there or not? So anyone know? Okay, so the Mefarshim answer, I believe it's the Ran that answers that we're afraid when a husband comes in that maybe, he's more involved in the matter when his wife made a neder. So maybe he's going to exaggerate the charata and he'll make up something that's going to get the neder undone.
There is one more thing. Maybe you see it from his point of view. It's his own interest and not necessarily her interest. Like she is not really want to annul it, or maybe she's indifferent. But it doesn't match to his lifestyle, whatever it is. So
right.
He want to do more than her.
Very good. So it may not be an honest presentation of her charata. That's a very good point. So what does the Rav Ashi say? Rav Ashi says it depends. If the bet-in is already there, so then it's enough. We could trust. We have enough trust in the husband, and we could do it. But if he goes through the tircha, he goes through the effort to gather 3 people, so then he has 2 reasons why he really wants this vow annulled. Number one, it's personal, right? It's him and it's his wife, and also he went through all the effort of getting it together. So then he's gonna try to make it a very nice story in order to sound like the charata, and therefore it should be undone. And therefore we don't allow it in that situation. We only allow it to be annulled if the bet-in was already there. Tov, nice svara. Okay, so Gemara says like this: Shma minat lat, right? 5 lines down. Shma minat lat. We see 3 things from Rav Ashi from the story. Number 1, Shma minat baal nase shliach lecharat ishto. So number 1, we see right that a husband, right, technically would be able to go ahead and be the messenger for his wife for the regret of his wife.
But he can do for his wife that, no?
He can do hafara. If he heard it, like we said, if he heard it right away, bo bayom, then he could do hafara even. He could just blow it out. He doesn't even need charata. Here we're talking about that, let's say it was after the fact, or let's say he already accepted it. He already was mekayem it. If he's a heiniota, I think it means if he accepted it upon himself, and now afterwards he's like, now I don't. So now he doesn't have the ability to do hafara. So now he wants to do charata. He wants to do it retroactively. He wants to undo it retroactively. Right. Hafara is mikano laba. Charata is from the mafreya, from retroactively. Very good. So that's the first thing we see, that the husband could be a messenger.
This is before you meant the marriage, or
no, they're already married.
No.
Oh.
No, I don't understand my question.
Yeah.
From before, you said, if she do neder before they marriage, or
it doesn't matter.
This case, I believe, is in a what?
It's the day that he hears it. Even if she did the neder another time, but
before she meant
the day that he hears it.
Oh, interesting.
That's the day that he's allowed to annul it without.
When he married?
No.
Okay, so the Gemara says further, "B'shma mina lo shari lemishri nida." To undo the neder, to undo a vow in the town of his rabbi. Meaning, what did Ravina do? Ravina came to Rav Ashi, right? And he asked him this question of if he's allowed to do it. Why can't he just go ahead and make his own bet-in, and bring his, have his wife there, and it'll be very simple to be able to undo the vow. We see that since his rabbi was there, Rashi was there, he has to come. He can't paskin. We know this concept, I believe, that you cannot give up psak halacha when your rabbi is there. So therefore, he had to go to Rashi. Ushma mina, and finally, the third thing we see was ki mechafnin, that when the 3 are gathered there, shapir dami, then it works. But again, if the 3 were not gathered there, then he would not be able to represent his wife to express the charata. Tov. So the Gemara says right there, the first one is Vishamta, about 8 lines down. Vishamta afilu be'asra d'Rabbi. A shamta, even in the town of his rabbi, he would able to undo. And the shamta is the nidoy, is the excommunication. I mean, we were discussing a neder. He can't undo the neder in the town of his rabbi, but excommunication, when a person was in a cherem, that he could undo. Even in his town of his rabbi, he would be able to undo that. The yachid mumcha shari shamta, and also a individual, even one person who's a mumcha, is able to annul a excommunication, a cherem. He doesn't require a betin. Even a yachid would be able to undo the excommunication. I think we saw that even from the story, from yesterday with the rabbi who put his student into cherem. So even one person is able to undo the cherem. Okay, now we have a fascinating Gemara here. Okay, Amar Rav Shimon Bar Zavid. Ready? We have a bunch of names. See if anyone can memorize them. Amar Rav Shimon Bar Zavid. Amar Rav Yitzchak in the name of Rav Yitzchak Bar Tavla. Amar in the name of Rav Chia Aricha. In the name of Chia Aricha Dibei Rav Acha, who learned in the Beit Medrash of Rav Acha, who said Amar Rav Zera, said in the name of Rav Zera. Amar Rav Lazar in the name of Rav Lazar. Amar Rav Chanina in the name of Rav Chalila. Amar Rav Yisha Miyasha Mishmei Rabbi Yehuda Bar Ilai. Okay, so they had a good telegraph over there. Straight like 10 people there. So my dichtiv, what's the explanation in the pasuk like this? V'zarcha lachem yirei shemi, and I will shine for you yirei shemi, those that fear my name. So elu b'nei adam, these are the people shehein yirein l'hotzi shem shemayim lebatala, who are cautious, they're fearful to express the name of Hashem in vain. If a person is very careful in not expressing Hashem's name for no reason, so then there's going to be a shine for them. Hashem is going to shine for them. The Shemesh Tzedakah Umarpei, the sun of righteousness, and it's going to be healing. So there's a special reward and a special gift that a person receives when healing when a person is careful not to say the name of Hashem in vain. Amar Abaye says, Shema Mina, we see from here, Charga de Yuma Masi, very important for us living over here in Florida, that the rays of the sun, or the dust of the sun, when the sun shines through the window, there's like those dust particles that you're able to see. So what is it? It helps you. Masi, it's helpful for a person. It's I don't know if it's referring to the vitamin D, but the rays of the sun is physically helpful for a person, right? Because that was the reward given for those that are careful not to say the name of Hashem in vain. However, this opinion of Abaye that says it's referring to a reward or a natural effect in this world, upliga de Reb Shimon ben Lakish, is arguing with Reb Shimon ben Lakish. We're on the first wide line, 4 lines from the bottom. The Amar who says, Ein Gehenim Olam Haba. There's no Gehenim L'Olam Haba in the future. Okay, which the Ran says doesn't mean after a person's death, but it means after Tchiyat HaMeitzim. After, of course, the Rishayim, after they pass away, they go into Gehenim. But after Tchiyat HaMeitzim, there's not going to be what we call Gehenim. What is it going to be? Hashem is going to take out the sun from its sheath, from its guard, from what's protecting it. Tzadikim, the third line from the bottom, Tzadikim mitrapimba. The tzaddikim, the righteous people, are going to be healed from it, or Rishayim nidunimba, and the Rishayim are going to be judged by it. I mean, the sun that's taken out of its protection is going to be helpful for the tzaddikim, but damaging for the Rishayim. What do we see? We see that this pasuk is referring to not in this world that the sun is going to be helpful, arguing with Abaye, but rather it's referring to Lasi Lavo in the future. Shenamar, how do we see this? The pasuk says, "V'zarcha lachem," and I will shine for you, Yirei Shemi, those that fear my name. Meaning, and here it's referring to tzaddikim. Shemesh, the sun. Okay, the sun is going to shine for them. V'lo od, not only that, Ela shemis adninba, that they're going to be Eden, they're going to be joyful, they're going to be pleasurable in it, in the sun. Shenamar, as it says, v'yatzatem upishtem kaglei marbek. That they're going to come out and they're going to flourish like the big stalks, like fattened stalks, and that's going to be the effect that's going to have on the tzaddikim. However, but the Rishayim, the wicked people, are going to be judged by it. And as it says, the next pasuk over there, Hinei. The pasuk before, Hinei Yom Ba, a day is going to come, Bo'er Katanor, burning like a furnace. So it's referring to a very difficult time that it's going to be for the Rishayim, but for the Tzaddikim it's going to be very good. In fact, the Chassam Sofer said this refers to the mitzvah of Sukkah, right? We know that Lasi Lavo, Hashem is going to test them. So it's referring to, right? You take away the sun, it's going to be the, sitting in the sukkah. It's going to be joyful for the tzaddikim, painful for the Rishaim. Yashar koach, toda rabba.
Thank you so much.
I don't know.